Hello, guys, and welcome back. This is Mystery Truth. I want us to talk about the 1,800 plus young volcanoes in the United States Southwest. Broad survey of monogenetic volcanoes younger than 2.58 million years in the United States Southwest. You have to know that they are born, they live once, erupting for a period that might last for days, years, or decades, then they go dark and die. This narrative describes the life of a monogenetic volcano, a type of volcanic hazard that can pose important dangers despite an ephemeral existence. The landscape of the southwestern United States is heavily scarred by past eruptions of such volcanoes, and a new study marks a step towards understanding future risks for the region. The research, which will be published later in the journal Geosphere, provides a broad overview of what we know and don't know about this type of volcanism in the United States Southwest over the past 2.5 million years ago, a geologic period known as the Quaternary. During this time, more than 1,800 monogenetic volcanoes erupted in the region, according to a count covering Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and parts of California's eastern edge. Add in the Pinacate volcanic field, located mostly in the Mexican state of Sonora, bordering Arizona, and the number goes up to over 2,200, scientists say. Let's explain something. Monogenetic means one life, says lead author Greg Valentine, a University at Buffalo volcanologist. So a monogenetic volcano will erupt once, and that eruption may last for several days to several decades. But after that, the volcano is basically dead. In the United States, most volcanic hazards related attention has rightly gone to places like Hawaii and to the Pacific Northwest and Alaska, where we have big stratovolcanoes like Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens, which we have many eruptive episodes over a long life, with widespread hazardous effects. In the past, these smaller monogenetic volcanoes really haven't been looked at from a focus on hazards. They have been instead studied mainly for what they tell us about the deep earth. Recently, however, there has been more buzz in the research community about how we need to take a look at the kind of hazards these volcanoes might pose. My experience with the general public is that most people are surprised to know that there are so many young volcanoes in the southwest. The 2,000 plus volcanoes noted in the paper are done erupting, so they no longer pose a threat, but studying them is important because of the potential for new ones to boom. Monogenetic volcanoes tend to occur in areas that we call volcanic fields, and the American Southwest is just dotted with this, says Valentine, who grew up in New Mexico. These are areas of high volcanic activity where future eruptions could happen, but we don't know when and we don't know exactly where. The city of Flagstaff, Arizona is located in a volcanic field where multiple monogenetic volcanoes have erupted in the past. So a better understanding of possible hazards is important for people who live there. Two of the most recent eruptions in the southwest occurred near Flagstaff about 1,000 years ago, one just outside of town and the other on the north rim of the Grand Canyon, Ott said. North Arizona University is in Flagstaff. People living there at the time adapted to the effects of the eruptions, changing agricultural and cultural practices as well as where they lived. We will need to do the same when the next one erupts. One of the younger eruptions in the southwest occurred south of Grants, New Mexico, a few thousand years ago and flowed for many miles parallel to what is now Interstate 40 and part of the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. The fundamental piece of information that you need to have in order to start understanding the hazards and the chances of a future eruption are the number of volcanoes, their ages, and the type of eruptions they have. Valentine says, what we set out to do in the study is to find every bit of information that we could about these monogenetic volcanoes in the southwestern United States and compile it all in one place. There is so much uncertainty about the chances of a new eruption in this century, and this is the part of the problem. It's kind of a wide open research field. When you look at the region from the perspective of volcanic hazard, we really have very little information. Most of the volcanoes have not been dated, so we don't know how old they are, except that they likely formed sometime within the Quaternary period. Very few have been studied in detail. We don't have infinite resources, so we have to prioritize the efforts we put into forecasting and planning for hazards, Valentine says. But how do you set priorities if you are monitoring volcanic fields in the southwest? Where do you put the instruments? Being able to better answer questions like this is what we are moving towards. Okay? So, what do you think about this? Do you think that these monogenetic volcanoes would all of a sudden, maybe due to the climate change that has been happening due to the global warming, do you think all of a sudden most of them will start erupting and causing harm to places like Utah, Arizona, Nevada? So what do you have to say concerning this? Drop your comments in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.